Hello, are you there, Tiff?
I'm here.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to get started. Welcome to Advocacy Arena, the place we bring awareness and solution-oriented focus to issues. I'm here today with Tiff, aka Candidly Tiff, wife, mom, Maryland resident, born and raised in Brooklyn, Afro-Latina. You can also find Tiff on TikTok at Beeps Peeps Blog and IG as Candidly Tiff. And Tiff and I met in social media, and I am so happy that she agreed to come and join me here in the advocacy arena. And we're going to get started and bring some awareness to some of her work. And one of the first things that I'd like to ask you, Tiff, is like, how did you get interested in politics? Because that's how we met in the political circles of Twitter.
Well, hey, Miss D, how are you this evening? Start first and foremost. I am, honestly, I think I've always loved politics, and since I was a little girl, my parents were always, watching the news, and we always kind of kept up with what was going on. But I guess my earliest memory of, politics was David Dinkins winning when I was about 7 or 8 years old. And so I remember, his election and my parents being like so excited that he was going to be the first black mayor of the city we lived in. So that was kind of my first experience probably with politics, and just kind of, like I said, watching it on the news. But that's kind of when I got my love for politics. And then as I got older in high school, we focused on government and trying to, talk through civics when we actually had civics classes. And so I was, I wanted, at one point in my youth, I wanted to be a politician.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, then I kind of morphed until, I got into college, and I was like, yeah, this is probably not for me. And but I always loved social studies, and I've always loved history. So I was thinking about becoming a social studies teacher. That was my major in college, focused mostly on, sociology and political science. So I always had like a passion for it, but it wasn't something that I knew I wanted to pursue as like a career. Once I got college, I was like, yeah, this is probably not it. Cause I started working in the healthcare, administration field, and that kind of pulled me away from the political aspect of it. But to be honest, there is still a lot of politics where, in terms of, in anything that we do, there's always politics, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So when I moved to Maryland in 2000, I'll be honest, in New York, politics is very, simple, right? You go, you vote, and that's it. There's not, a big political scene like most people think, as there is here in Maryland, or, other places in the South where they're having events all the time and things like that. You kind of just need to do and go about your business. And when it comes time to primaries, you vote. And when it comes to general election, you go and vote and do your thing. So, unless you're really, really into politics. So I never was really into politics when I lived in Maryland. In New York. But then once I moved to Maryland, it was 2007, and we were gearing up for 2008 with the Obama campaign and, against Hillary, for the primary. And that's when I kind of, started getting a little bit more into, okay, what is really happening in this country, and what is really happening with politics? Maybe I need to get a little bit more involved. So I always paid attention and knew what was going on. And then I joined Twitter in 2011, and oddly I joined Twitter because for sports purposes, but I also used it just to kind of keep up with everything that was going on, because people in the news always talked about Twitter like being this format where people connect, and new politicians were on there. And so I started kind of paying more attention on Twitter to politics, but I always use Facebook as my my source to talk to family and other people about whatever was on my mind politically. And then in 2000 16 with, obviously that election with Trump winning,
Right.
I figured, okay, this is not the place for me because I was getting in arguments with my family and my uncle, and it was like crazy.
That's
So
when I was done.
yeah, I think I was like, all right, Facebook is not the place or the format for this kind of discourse. So I became more active on Twitter. And in 2017, I started kind of building my account and, talking about my feelings. I was always on Twitter. I never wrote down my feelings. Like I would comment on stuff, but I never really tweeted. I just watched other people, how they did it, and kind
Hmm.
of came that way. So
Right.
finally in 2017, with everything that was going on, my first memory was like of Trump was like that Muslim ban. You know what I mean? Like that was
Oh
that.
my God. Visceral. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I was so pissed off. I started tweeting and I was like, I can't stand this man. And it was just a whole thing. And then that just kind of gave me the confidence to be on Twitter and talk about my, political feelings and what we were all experiencing together. And I found, community, people who were of like mind and had the same kind of, discourse that I was looking for. And, there was agreements, there was disagreements. And then I think I really got very much into it with the Kavanaugh craziness. And I
Hmm.
was like, yeah, no, we can't let this stand. So that's when I became supercharged. And then immediately after that was when Kamala Harris jumped into the race. And then I became very, very, very active on Twitter, talking about, what my feelings on her, what was going on with the debates, what was happening, and then kind of built my platform from there. And then when she got out, Biden. So it kind of like snowballed into that. But I've always loved politics. It's always been my thing. But life is strange. And so
It takes you
sometimes
in so many different directions.
exactly. So I was into it when I was young. I kind of felt, I got married, was trying to have a baby. Like there was a lot of things going on. And then
Right.
finally it was like to a point where, okay, this is where we are. And now I can focus on this a little bit more. And that's what I've been doing the last 2 years, is really kind of focusing on, civics and teaching people, about, the Senate and how we hadn't had a Senate majority in a really long time. And so
Right.
you try to use my voice to do that, to be able to kind of spread awareness and use my skills, that I had learned in college in social studies, which, like I said, I wanted to be a teacher, and use that as part of my platform to kind of, hopefully, educate people on the political process more so than saying, okay, this is who you need to vote for. It's like, okay, this is what you need if you are going to pass a bill, or this is what we need if we want to kill the filibuster, or,
Right.
for even if it was for campaigns, it was really more so, okay, how do they win? What is their strategy? That kind of thing. It's morphed into strategy, politics more than anything at this point.
Well,
More so than,
that's taking me to the next
yep.
question I was gonna ask you is like, how has it evolved? Because I think that most people who end up really working in it, they probably always had a little something there, like you said, but they may not have, like pursued it or whatever. But so how would you say that it's evolved? That you were starting to speak to that in terms
Yeah.
of, like, strategizing.
Yeah, I think it initially started, like I said, with just putting my feelings, like, like I look at Twitter like a diary. So it's like, dear diary, this is what
Okay.
I'm feeling for today, this or this. And then, people
Hmm.
start commenting, but then I felt like, okay, I never said, okay, well, this is what I want to do.